Get a show of hands. How many people have ever seen the movie Black Hawk Down? Okay, well, so the images in that movie are about 20 years out of date. Okay, the biggest problem that's facing Somalia today is an energy crisis. Now, there's only 10% of the population that has access to electricity, and they pay the highest cost in the entire world. It's about $1 a kilowatt hour. Now, to put that in perspective, take your electric bill and add a zero. It's 10 times the US cost. This is Rahma and her daughter Umal. They're part of the 90% in Somalia that have no access to electricity because it's too expensive. This is what they see at night. It's pitch black. And that's because Rahma, she lights her home with one of these. It's a kerosene lamp. Right? Somalia has the third lowest GDP per capita in the entire world. Rahma makes $350 a year, and she spends almost a quarter of it, one quarter, about $75, to light her home with kerosene. Now, fortunately, the technology to solve that problem and replace kerosene already exists. It's a solar lantern like this. The problem is not the technology. The biggest challenge is how you get that technology into the hands of someone like Rahma. Oops, sorry, and that's why we created Qora. Should go back one. Qora was founded specifically to enable affordable solar access for people in overlooked countries. And we do that by combining international expertise with a local management team under a local brand. And we give people the ability to choose solar for their homes, and we give them the ability to pay for that over time affordably using local platforms that already exist. In Somalia, we created Enersom. Now, Enersom distributes directly to rural families, and they allow them to pay over time using an incumbent mobile payment technology called Zod. Now, that one lantern that we just sold Rahma last month will save her $175 over 3 years. Now, during that period, those savings reduce her energy income expenditure from 25% of her income to just 3%. It's the same percent we pay in the US. There are 10 million people, just like Rahma in Somalia. There's 225 million more in other post-conflict countries. At Qora, we're already making great progress in reaching them. We have a second company. It's called Alltech in the DRC, and they distribute with partnerships with hospitals and schools to finance solar for their workers. Now, so far, we've made great progress. We've distributed 40,000 units to 40,000 families with $250,000. It's about 20% of the city of Austin, 200,000 people, right? It's taken a great team, a lot of diverse expertise, international and local, and a lot of partners who trusted us to make the impact in markets that are consistently overlooked. Now, we're excited to announce that we'll be closing our seed round by the end of this year, which will help us scale our impact in Somalia and the DRC, and we're launching a new entity in Ethiopia for the first time, which is called Hello Solar. Thank you.
So I'm wondering, you just mentioned that these are areas that are often overlooked, and I think it's because they're often remote or also sometimes risky. So how do you deal with those challenges?
It's a great question, Matt. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's taken a few years of iteration, a lot of time on the ground, which I don't think our parents are too happy with. My partner Christian is here. If he could raise his hand, he's in the corner. Lived in Somalia for a couple of years. It's really about identifying the right partners and going there, for the first time and witnessing it. So that's how we deal with regulatory challenges, solving the cultural problems. It's as much of an international expertise and technology issue as it is solving that within the local context.
How are you taking into account differential gender questions around energy use?
That's a great question. Yeah. So one thing that we've tried to do is hire a lot of women, but the problem is that they're so focused on supporting their families that they're really reluctant to spend time doing public demonstrations and other things to reach people. But we're really relying on our communities and the people that we hire within those communities to identify the right folks. And I think with Alltech, it's a little bit different because hospitals tend to have larger maternity wards, right? It's a lot easier to impact women equally as it is with men. Somalia, it's a little bit more difficult, but we keep an eye on that as much as we can. Sure.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Ben. Sure.
What are your plans for distribution? Are you going through a typical retail network, or would you think about sort of an Avon lady type approach?
Yeah, yep, it's a good question. It's really a vertically integrated model. It's more akin to a solar city. So we believe in distributing direct to people with our own outlets. So we would prefer to be able to choose the right products that are in the market to finance those, and then have our own outlets so that we can really stand behind everything for the long term. And we have a long-term presence in the community is one of our number one goals.
Did you mention the price point? If you did, I missed it.
No, and that's because, two entities, it's a wide range of products, but it's anywhere from like a very small, light only in the DRC, because mobile phones are not that, well penetrated, to a lantern that does, lighting and charging, up to, full-scale home system to light multiple rooms, provide light for agriculture, charge other devices. It's anywhere from $10 up to $150, but it's spread out from 4 to 6 months or more.
So the example that you gave us, one very specific example,
Yeah.
it's going to bring her cost from 25% to 3%. What does that cost her, the original purchase price?
So that would be $45, but it's over 4 months. And we'd like to be able to make that a year or more, but there's only so much you can do with a 250K seed round. So that's part of our next race is making those payments longer.
In 9 seconds, can you
Yeah.
talk about, because this is a crowded field.
Yep.
Who's your competition in these places and how are you dealing with that?
Yeah, competition are probably the suppliers, so the guys who actually make the technology. Right? They raise more money, they take less risk, and now they want to distribute.
We can continue the discussion later. Thank you very much.